Hey guys, I welcome you to this very interesting presentation on cost behavior. This topic is relevant in the study of cost accounting and managerial accounting. In this presentation, you will learn various terms that are used in relation to cost behavior, break-even analysis, and also the role of cost behavior in planning and budgeting activities of business. So let's proceed. As you are aware that every business has to incur expenses, we call them costs, and the number of expenses or the costs is enormous. For a small business, the number of costs could be small, but for large companies, it could be really very large. And each cost item has a peculiar nature, like some costs are more related to a time frame, like a month, a quarter, 6 months, or a year, while several other costs are related to activity. That means production in a factory. If you increase production in the factory, these cost items will also increase. If you reduce production activity in factory, these items will also reduce. So they increase or decrease in relation to level of activity in any organization. So time-related costs move with time, and the time could be anything like a month or a year. And some examples are here, like rent is paid for a month, and you can pay the rent in advance for a month, or you can pay rent for 1 year in advance or a couple of years in advance. Similarly, salaries are paid on monthly basis, and some other cost items like utility bills are paid on monthly basis. And we have the item of depreciation of fixed assets that is also charged in accounts on monthly basis. So these are examples of time-related costs. And then we have costs that move with level of activity, like materials used in production move with the level of activity. If the activity increase, these costs will increase. If the activity will decline, these costs will also decline. Likewise, labor costs move with activity, and the electricity that is consumed in the production departments also move in relation to level of activity. So these are examples of costs that are more closely related to activity in any organization. And now you have to appreciate that time-related costs are referred as fixed costs or period costs because they relate to a given period. But it doesn't mean that these costs never change. These costs may change after several years, like maybe the rent is revised after a year, the salaries of employees change after a year, they get increments. So bear in mind that although these are period costs, they relate to a time frame, but they may change after a while. So as you know that every business prepares plans for the future, and these could be in the shape of annual budgets or 5-year business plan, and some businesses prepare quarterly forecasts. So these costs and their nature is very much relevant in planning because the fixed costs or time related costs do not change very frequently. So you have to separate these costs while the activity related costs increase or decrease with the level of activity. So the treatment of these two types of costs is different in planning activity. Now, you must have come across with this term break-even analysis. This is very much relevant in new projects, business expansion, mergers, and the treatment of costs is also very important in, in the preparation of break-even analysis. So the classification of time-related costs, which are referred as period cost, and the treatment of activity-related costs that are referred as variable cost is significant when we prepare break-even analysis. New projects are launched. The investors are very much interested in knowing the break-even point of the project because until the break-even point is reached, the investor has to keep pumping money in the project to fill the gap between revenue and costs. But after the break-even point is arrived at, then the profits start rolling in. So you will appreciate that the break-even point is extremely important when new projects are launched or for growth in business, business expansion. The other term that is very much important in planning is margin of safety. And this is the difference between actual activity at any given point in time and the break-even point. So the difference between actual activity and break-even point is referred as margin of safety. And this tells us that in times of decline in business activity, this margin of safety becomes very relevant, and the businessman knows as to how much the business slowdown may occur, and he will still be in plus. That means he will still be making some money. But after the break even point, and decline after that, or that means is moving from the profit area into the loss area, then naturally he has to think about doing something for the business to survive. So margin of safety is a very important term in planning activity. So I hope you got some fair idea of the terms that are very much relevant in cost behavior, business planning, preparation of break-even charts, and you can refer to your textbooks and you will understand in depth these terms and the workings, the preparation of break-even chart, and I wish you good luck.